Alright, quick challenge. One move here wins material immediately. Pause the video and find the fork. It's white to play. Most players miss this, not because it is hard, but because they don't even look for it. Welcome to the new series, Tactical Motifs. In this series, we will break down one tactical pattern per video using games played by legends. Episode 1 is about forks. So, what is fork? A fork is when one piece attacks two or more targets at the same time. And when you learn forks properly, you start winning free material in real games. Before we jump into the games, let's quickly understand the main fork types. So, to start with, knight forks. They are the most common and most dangerous forks because you can't block a knight. Once it jumps in, you either lose material or you get checked. The second is queen forks. They usually win because they combine threats with tempo. Very often it's check plus attacking a rook or attacking two pieces at once. The next one are pawn forks. They are underrated but extremely practical. A single pawn push can attack two pieces and force your opponent into losing exchanges. The next one is king forks. It happened mostly in endgames. The king walks in and attacks two pieces, and the opponent can't save both. After that, we have rook forks. Rook forks happen when pieces are lined up on the same file or same rank. They are less common, but when they work, they just win material. Last but not least, we have bishop forks. They usually happen on the long diagonals. They are rare, but when your bishop hits two pieces or targets, it's instantly winning. Now, let's go straight into the examples. To start with, we have this position with white is Tigran Petrosian versus Boris Spassky as black. This is a game from World Championship match from 1966. Petrosian was the reigning world champion, one of the greatest defensive players ever, and Spassky was a top challenger known for universal style and brutal tactics. So, if you see the position, there is already a pin, the queen is very active, and knights are about to come into the game very soon. But if you see the black pieces, this rook can't even move because that is pin, and all the other pieces are just not helping the king. So, in this position, white start with knight e4 just using the knight, and his plan is simple. He wants to either come to g5 or d6, which will put a pressure on the rook. And here, black simply played queen h4, trying to start attacking on the white king because white king also don't have much defenders, but there are pieces, so it's not easy for the queen to start giving checks. So here, white simply takes the pawn on d6, and white is saying, I'm gonna win the rook, and then your king is weak, and I will take advantage of it. And here, black gives check on g5, king h1, and here he just played rook a7. His plan is if you take it, he will defend it. So here, take your time and find the best move for white. And here, in this position, Tigran played bishop take f7, rook takes, and here he found the best maneuver which wins the game for white instantly. And here he start with queen h8 check. He sacrificed his queen for the next fork. A black king has to take it, there's no other option. So when black king takes it, there's a knight about to capture the rook with a check, and that is a fork. He wins the rook, and when he's about to come out, he wins with the queen. And if you see in the end game, white is having two knights and black is having only one knight, and white is the one who is having one extra pawn. So white is simply a plus 4 points extra material, and completely winning position. Now, let's go to the next position. In this position, we have white, which is Lev Pulaski, and black is Tigran Petrosyan. And this game is from US Championship from 1970. Lev was one of the strongest Soviet grandmasters, famous for sharp preparation and calculation. And Petrosyan, a former world champion, and was still elite and deadly in technical positions. So let's see what's happening in the position. The knights are guarding each other, and there is one pawn which is on d2 and about to queen on d1 if rook moves. Take your time and pause the video and find the best move for black. And here, in this position, black played knight g4. Hanging is g4 knight, hanging is e4 knight, and still he is winning. The idea is no knight can be captured. The reason is if king try to capture the knight on g4, there is a knight f2 which simply forks, and if you try to capture the knight on e4, the story is still the same because knight f2 still exists and that is still a fork. And black is completely winning after that. So that means no knight can be captured. So white replied with knight e3, just hoping for best, but he internally know he just can't do anything about that. And here in this position, he simply played knight ef2. Knights are still protected with each other and he is simply attacking the rook. And the problem is rook cannot be moved, otherwise pawn d1 could be a problem for white. So he just tried last trick and he played bishop c3, hoping to capture the pawn on d2 and maybe he will be able to survive. But unfortunately, Tigran played rook d3. It's simply a fork with a rook. Knight is attacked twice, knight cannot be moved, and at the same time, bishop is also attacked. And here, white simply resigned. The reason is he doesn't have too much to do. The best reply could be bishop takes d2, just hoping to defend the knight. The problem in that case is rook is hanging and you will simply win the rook and it is still a pin and you're gonna win the material after that. And if you try to capture the pawn with the rook, the situation is not too much different because rook takes e3 with check, and when king goes on f4, he's also about to win the bishop. And if you see the material, he's just having two extra knights with no compensation, and black is simply winning. So now let's go to the next position. So this is position third, and in this position, white is Tigran Petrosyan, that one is a different Petrosyan, and black is Milos. This position is from European Team Championship from 2009. And in this position, Petrosyan is a modern grandmaster, a very strong Armenian player. And for black, is also a titled player and in a tough opponent, but one tactical slip is all it takes at this level. So let's see what's happening in this position. You can see white is slightly better in this position and he just played knight b6. And here it looks like black king is not safe, but he's having some pieces around the king, so it might be saved. But it's time for you to pause the video and find the best move for white. And in this position, white played knight h7. Simply a brilliant move. And the idea is this knight cannot be captured. Because if you try to capture the knight, this is simply bishop f4 check from the rook, and you are about to simply win the queen, which is enough in this position to win the game for white. So that is why knight cannot be captured. And if black decided to do nothing and just play a normal move like a6, that also lost because of f4. And now the queen is attacked and queen is having no good options. It looks like queen can take on e4 and queen is just fine, but unfortunately, there's a knight take f6, and that is simply a fork. And the position is that good for white, white doesn't even need to take the queen. After king will go to h8, black can simply play bishop f8, just delivering a checkmate with a knight and rook. So that simply meant this knight cannot be captured. So now the threat was the bishop was under attack, and he simply played bishop h8, just moving the bishop so that it doesn't hurt much. But unfortunately, black is having no good option, and he just started with bishop f4, attacking on the queen. Queen has to move, so he played queen c5, and here he played bishop g5. The idea is he wants to play knight f6 check, which will win the rook. And here he tried playing queen e5, just taking control of f6 square, but unfortunately there's a pawn f4. And the same idea we just saw is still working. This queen cannot capture e4 pawn because of knight f6 check, and he played queen takes d6, and here white simply trade the queens, and here black just resigned. The reason is why he resigned is this queen cannot be captured, because if you try to capture the queen, the move is simply knight f6, and that is a fork. And it looks like black can give up a bishop for a knight. So if you try to give it up, unfortunately after this, there is a checkmate coming on h8, and there is no way to stop the checkmate. The only good way for the black is he can just give up a rook on d1, and next move it will be checkmate. So no one can save the black. So that is why he simply resigned. Now let's go to the next one. So this is a position 4, and in this position, white is Ian Nepo and black is Alexander. This position is from Russian Team Championship from 2009. Nepo was already one of the biggest young talents in Russia, known for speed and tactical vision. And Alexander is a strong master level opponent, and even strong players get punished if they miss one fork. So we got this position where if you see the black king, it's not that safe because white is having four pieces around the king, which will be attacking on the black king. So here in this position, white just played rook bishop e4, and here black blundered the game and black played queen d6. And it's time for black to collapse. So pause the video and try to find the best move for white. And here white played knight takes f7. And the idea is simple. The queen is attacked and this knight is protecting h6, so queen h6 is coming at the same time. So black cannot allow this knight to remain on f7, and he decided to take with the rook. So he played rook takes f7. And here Napo played a brilliant move, queen h6 check. And unfortunately, this queen cannot be captured, because if king tried to capture the queen, it's simply knight takes f7 with a check, which will win the queen at the same time. So king will just have to move. He won the queen. At the same time, bishop is attacked, and his pieces are too activated and well coordinated. White is just simply so better. Eventually, he won the game. Now, let's go to the next one. This is position 5. White is Anatoly Karpov and black is Gary Kasparov. This position is from World Championship match from 1985. Karpov was a defending world champion, famous for control and precision, and Kasparov was the most dangerous challenger in the world, bringing constant pressure and calculation. So let's see in this position what's happening. Kasparov is black, and he is obviously better in this position. The reason is obvious, his pieces are much active. And it looks like that black can simply win a pawn, and if there is no passed pawn, black will be even winning. But the problem is this pawn cannot be captured. Because if you try to capture the pawn, there is simply knight b2, and you cannot capture the knight because your queen is hanging. And here, probably you have to defend the knight because he's coming for it. And then knight e5, and here he will just simply play queen takes h6. And if you see this position, it is still black a bit better, but white is having enough counterplay and he can hope for a draw at least. So that is why this pawn cannot be captured. And here, black simply played king g7. And unfortunately, in this position, white played f3, which is simply a blunder. So take your time and try to find it out. Why is this a blunder? It's black to play. The reason is this pawn can be captured now, and he just go for it. And here in this position, he played queen takes d6. And the idea is now in this position, if you try to play knight b2, it won't work because there's a queen d4 check, which simply forks the knight and king, and black is simply just too better. So that is why this cannot be played now. And here he just simply played f takes g4, and Gary continue with the same plan and he start with queen d4 check. Now king is in danger. So he has to move the king and he played king h1. And here he found a great idea, which is knight f6. And his plan is knight f6, knight e4, knight f2. Simple. And then he will be forking white's pieces and his king is definitely not safe. And here black played rook f4, which just simply helps black's idea, and black simply go for the same plan, which is knight e4. And now when you block the bishop, so there's a knight on d3 which is hanging. So here in this position, Karpov took the knight because he has nothing else to do. So he just captured the knight, and Gary go with the same plan, knight f2 check, which is simply a family fork. Everything is attacked. Obviously, so the last op for the white is to eliminate the knight from the board, and he played rook takes f2, and black simply capture the queen with a bishop, the only hope and only move. And in this position, he played rook d2, and now white is expecting that, oh, he lost a queen, but he has taken the knight, and now he will take the bishop, and probably he will be able to do something about it. But unfortunately, Gary said, not today, and he played queen e3. And it looks like the bishop is free and bishop can be captured. And Karpov simply captured the bishop. And here, Gary found a move which simply crushes white's position. And the move is rook c1. And the idea is queen cannot be captured. If you try to capture the queen, the problem is rook takes d1 with a check, bishop blocks, and then he simply win the rook. And if you see, the bishop is hanging, the knight is hanging, and black is simply too much better. And white can't do anything about it. So that means this rook cannot be captured. And white simply played knight b2, hoping that something could work and defending both the rooks at the same time. But unfortunately, it's also not gonna work. And Gary played the best possible variation from here, which is queen f2. The idea is simple, the rook is still hanging, which cannot be captured, and rook e1 is also coming at the same time. White continue with the knight d2, just hoping for a miracle, but that's not gonna happen today. And in this position, Gary simply captured the rook on d1, knight takes, and he played rook takes e1 check, and here white simply resigned. The problem is he cannot do anything. He has to block with a knight or with a bishop on f1, but the result stays the same. If you block it, rook takes f1, knight takes, and queen takes, and that is simply checkmate. He has seen this variation, and that is why he resigned. So now let's go to the next one. So this is the position 6, the last for today. And in this position, white is Lasker and black is Tarash. This is a position from a classics from the early 1900s. Lasker was a long-time world champion and one of the toughest fighters in the chess history. Tarash was one of the strongest players of his era, a top theoretician, and a serious rival. So let's see what's happening in this position. So in this position, white is slightly better because his king is safe, his rook is active, the pieces are about to come in the center, and it will cause some problems. And here, white started with queen h5. It is simply doing few things. First of all, it's putting a pressure on d5, and second thing, he has made a pin to f7 pawn. That means rook takes e6 is a simple threat. So now black has to do something about it. And the way to continue this position is simply play queen d7 and probably after that you can castle and you would be fine. But unfortunately, black starts with g6, attacking on the queen and creating a lot of the dark square weaknesses around the king. And here, so queen was under attack, so he played queen f3, and here black just blundered the game and he played bishop f6. And it looks like a great move. You are the one who is attacking the rook, and when rook moves back, you will just castle and then bishop g7, and you are having a good game. But unfortunately, black missed something. So pause the video and try to find the best idea in this position. It's white to play. And in this position, white played rook takes d5, simply attacking the queen, and this rook is protected with a knight and queen. And here he just black just capture the rook, bishop takes d5, knight takes d5, and here it's coming with a threat. The bishop is attacked twice, so bishop has to go back. So he played bishop g7, and here that was the right idea. And here he simply played bishop g5. And yes, this bishop can be captured. So let's see first and what happens if you play f6. It looks like a obvious move, but unfortunately, rook e1 check, king f7, and rook e7 is too strong for black to handle. And here, the best for him is just to simply give up a queen and hope for the best. And in this position, if that happens, white is completely winning. So it cannot be done. So black decided to capture the bishop. So he just simply captured the bishop, and now the fun starts. He simply played knight c7, simply attacking the rook and king. And now king has to move. He moved the king, and he simply win the rook. And if you see, black is having no compensation of that. In the next moves, the plan is simple. Rook e1 is coming. The queen is very active. And with the three pieces, having king in the center of the board, it is just simply way better for white. And even if they go to the end game, there are two passed and connected pawns, which are completely winning for white. And that is why in this position, black simply designed the game. So that was, folks, the first episode of Tactical Motive series. If you enjoyed this, the next episode is already coming soon. Subscribe and comment below which fork was your favorite. See you in the next one.